Have you ever wished your brain came with a user manual? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to stop treating the mind like some big, unsolvable mystery and start looking at it for what it is, a complex but totally understandable operating system.
Oh, we've all been there, right? You have that moment of pure clarity in your head, this powerful feeling, this groundbreaking insight, and then poof, it just evaporates the second you try to explain it. It's one of the most frustrating things ever. But what if I told you that's not you failing? What if it's a fundamental feature of how your brain is designed? Let's get into the science behind this.
All right, first things first, we need to completely update how we think about consciousness. We tend to imagine being awake, asleep, and dreaming as these totally separate boxes. But it turns out science shows us a much more fluid and way more interesting picture. Look, the old idea makes sense. It feels like we switch off when we go to sleep. But the new idea, which is backed by a ton of modern neuroscience, is that the brain is always running. Always. The state we're in just depends on the configuration of our neural system at that moment. So think of it less like an on-off switch and more like a dimmer dial. And the clues for this are everywhere once you start looking. When we're in deep sleep, our brains have these tiny little moments of wakefulness we don't even remember. Our dreams can be anything from super foggy and weird to incredibly realistic. And sometimes we even realize we're dreaming while it's happening. Even during the day, our focus is constantly shifting from intense concentration to just daydreaming. All of this points to one thing, a gradient of awareness, not a bunch of separate boxes. So if it's all just one big system on a spectrum, how do we even begin to map it? Well, let's imagine our mind has a kind of control panel, a way to visualize exactly where we are at any given moment. Okay, scientists call this the consciousness parameter space. I know, it sounds super complicated, but don't let the name fool you. It's really just a map, and like any map, it uses coordinates. For our mental map, the two big coordinates are our level of awareness and something called projection capacity, which is just our ability to express what's going on inside our heads to the outside world. And this map just illustrates it perfectly. So look at the bottom left, low awareness, low ability to express. That's deep sleep. Not much coming in, not much going out. Now move up to high awareness, but still low projection. That's dreaming. Your internal world is incredibly rich and vivid, but you're not actually talking or walking around. And finally, up in the top right, with both high awareness and high projection, that's focused cognition. You're thinking clearly and you can write it down, speak it, or act on it. Basically, every single mental state we have fits somewhere on this map. So how does this map help us solve that problem from the beginning, that huge gap between a brilliant thought and the words that just fall flat? The answer is right there on our new map. You see, this feeling, it's not just a metaphor. It is a literal description of a specific state on our mental map. It's a state of really high internal awareness, but for whatever reason, you just don't have enough projection capacity at that moment. Your brain has built this incredibly complex idea, but it can't quite translate it for the outside world yet. The problem is a kind of dimensional mismatch. Our thoughts aren't like sentences at all. They're these vast, interconnected webs of memories, feelings, and concepts all happening at once. But language is linear. It's one word after another after another. Trying to squeeze a multidimensional thought into a one-dimensional sentence is like trying to describe a beautiful sculpture by just showing one thin slice of it at a time. So much gets lost in translation. And it's not just that mismatch. There are other bottlenecks too. For one, an idea has to be stable and clear in your own mind before you can even hope to express it. Plus, the bandwidth of speech is tiny. It's like trying to download a 4K movie over dial-up compared to the complexity of your neural networks. And sometimes, social fears or just being emotional can completely shut down our ability to project our deepest thoughts. This is exactly why simple ideas are so much easier to share. They just fit neatly into that narrow bandwidth of language. Now, this model also explains something else that's absolutely fundamental to being human. Why two people can go through the exact same event and have completely different takeaways. We all kind of walk around thinking we're seeing the same reality, but we're not. Not really. Each and every one of us is running a totally unique version of the human mental operating system. It's been customized by our biology, by our life experiences, everything. So the same input signal from the world gets processed through entirely different internal hardware and software. I mean, the sources of this variation are just vast. The actual physical wiring of your brain is different from mine. Your personal blend of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin totally changes what you pay attention to. Your entire life history acts as a filter for everything you see. And that's not even counting your current mood, your cultural background, or whether you tend to lean more towards left brain analysis or right brain intuition. The event itself is just the starting point. The real story is how your unique brain puts it all together. And this all leads to a really profound idea. If everyone's brain is unique, what is it that separates just knowing things from having true wisdom? Well, it's not what we know. It's our brain's ability to connect it all. Knowledge is about collecting the dots. You can have a brain absolutely stuffed with facts and still make terrible decisions. Wisdom, on the other hand, is the skill of connecting those dots. It's a measure of your brain's integration capacity, its power to weave together logic, memory, and emotion into a coherent, balanced whole. And this capacity for integration isn't some kind of magic. It's built on real, tangible pillars. It requires a brain with strong, efficient connections between different areas. It's deepened by actual life experience. It really depends on being able to regulate our emotions so they inform our thinking instead of hijacking it. And it absolutely demands cognitive flexibility, the ability to see things from more than one perspective. So you see, wisdom isn't some mystical quality that only a few people have. It's an emergent property of a well-integrated brain. It is the ultimate expression of a mind that has really learned to master its own operating system, taking all the messy, complex inputs of life and projecting a clear, balanced, and coherent output. By understanding this framework, we're no longer just at the mercy of our random moods or creative blocks. We actually have a user's guide. So the question I want to leave you with is this. If your mind really is an operating system, what could you discover, what could you achieve if you started consciously working with its code instead of just letting it run in the background? The possibilities are pretty much limitless.